everyone. Welcome back to Midnight Confessions. Tonight, we've prepared some spine-chilling stories. Stories that will linger in your mind. So, grab your headphones, settle in, maybe keep the lights low, and let's dive right in.
This story comes from the 1980s in a quiet, rural town in Louisiana. My grandmother's farmhouse stood at the very edge of the woods, an old wooden house with a pond and a dark grove of cypress trees behind it. That was where the nightmare began. My aunt's little boy, Ethan, was only 3 years old, fair-skinned, beautiful, always smiling. But one afternoon, Ethan disappeared. The whole family searched frantically, calling his name, combing through the trees. Hours later, they found him, lying under the cypress grove. When they carried him inside, he whispered one thing: "I was playing by the pond." And then he remembered nothing else. That night, it started. Ethan's small body began twisting in strange seizures, bending unnaturally on the bed. His voice cried out, high, then low, like something inside him was fighting to get free. And then, suddenly, he ran. A 3-year-old child sprinting with such unnatural strength that even grown men couldn't catch him. And when they finally found him again, he was lying under the same cypress trees. The doctors found nothing. No sickness, no explanation. One preacher came, prayed, and whispered in a trembling voice, "This is not of God's world." But whatever it was, it wasn't leaving Ethan. The family turned to an old folk exorcist from the bayou. The man listened quietly and then spoke. "The boy is caught by 7 spirits, twisted, broken souls that haunt these woods. They will not let him go." At noon the next day, the ritual began. The exorcist drew a circle in the courtyard. Inside sat Ethan and his father. The drumming started, low, steady, while the exorcist chanted in an ancient tongue. The air grew heavy. The house trembled. Thunder cracked above the roof. On the second day, the storm returned. On the third day, it came with a vengeance. The circle was drawn once more. The chanting rose louder. The trees behind the house groaned and split, snapping in two as if crushed by some invisible hand. And then, before their eyes, an unseen force lifted Ethan into the air. His tiny body twisted backward and slammed against the ground with a sickening crack. But he did not die. Ethan lived for 27 years, but he never walked again. His body remained frail, his head swelling and misshapen. He never spoke, and for those 27 years, the family's farmhouse was never the same. Neighbors whispered of a tall, dark figure seen at night, standing in the courtyard, watching from the porch, lurking in the corners of their rooms. Visitors stopped coming. Those who stayed overnight suffered fevers, nightmares, curses that no doctor could explain. Only when Ethan died in 2004 did the figure vanish. The curse lifted. The house grew quiet. But those who lived through it still wake in the night, remembering the sound of thunder and the sight of a child being lifted into the air by nothing. And they swear the grove behind the house is still not safe.
Hope this story gave you chills. This one came from one of our lovely listeners. Thank you for trusting us with your tale. If you have a story, a spine-tingling true experience, send it to midnightconfession@gmail.com. And now, let's move on to our next chilling tale.
Everyone, how are you tonight? I hope you're doing well. My name's Michael Turner, and I live just outside Nashville, Tennessee. I'm not much of a storyteller, but something happened to me back in 2016, and I still can't forget it. So tonight, I'm finally ready to share it with you. It was March 18th, 2016, a Friday, a normal day. That afternoon, my buddy Dylan called and said, "Hey man, you free? Let's take a ride later. Clear our heads." After work, he showed up with his wife and her younger sister. We had 2 bikes, the road ahead, and a long evening to burn. By sunset, we were all laughing, riding through the back roads of Cheatham County. Everything felt peaceful, free, but that feeling didn't last long. Around 8:15 p.m., we were heading back. I told Dylan, "You go slow, man. I'll drop your sister-in-law off in town." I took off ahead, the road stretching out under the pale yellow glow of streetlights. Everything was fine until I saw her. A woman, middle-aged, maybe 40, crossing the road slowly. I honked. Once, twice. She didn't react. Then, the world exploded in my ears. But when I opened my eyes, there was no one, no body, no blood, just empty road. I thought I'd imagined it until my passenger whispered, "Michael, what happened to the woman we hit?" I froze. "You saw her too?" Around 11:15 p.m., I was heading home alone. The roads were empty. The night was thick. Just after passing the Cola Diner, she appeared again, that same woman, standing dead center in the lane, her eyes locked on mine. Before I could move, impact again, harder this time. But when I looked around, nothing, not a soul. The fear stayed with me all the way home. The next day, I drove out to my parents' farmhouse in Greene County. They'd gone there for a few days, and I figured I needed some rest. Saturday passed quietly. Sunday morning, I went out to the pond behind the house, my childhood fishing spot. It always made me feel calm. For hours, nothing bit. Then my dad's farmhand, Eli, came by. He asked, "Hey Mike, you still up for that border run later?" I said, "Sure." Just then, 3 catfish hit the line at once. It felt like a good sign. He took the fish home, came back quick, and we set out as night fell. Softly, eerie tone. The road to Maple Hollow was pitch dark. No lights, just crickets, water, and the rumble of the van. I was sitting on the back, legs hanging, smoking a cigarette. The smell of fish still clung to my hands. After a while, I asked, "Hey, Eli, how far till town?" He said, "Not far now." His voice didn't sound right. I offered him a cigarette. He said, "Nah, Mike, you finish it. You smoke too much anyway." That's when I noticed my shadow was there on the ground, but his wasn't. I pointed my flashlight at his feet and froze. He didn't have any feet. The pedals were moving by themselves. Before I could react, the van stopped. He turned his head toward me. It wasn't Eli. It was her. That same woman, hair hanging over her face, eyes burning like coal. She lunged forward, grabbed my throat, and hissed, "Why did you hit me? I'll kill you! I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. The world went dark. When I woke up, I was lying in my uncle's bed. My mom was there, crying quietly. I asked, "Where's Eli?" She frowned. "Eli? He's been at his wife's parents' house all week." I stared at her numb. Then who was I with last night? Our family pastor was there. He said quietly, "Something dark followed you, but something good protected you." He prayed over me, his hands trembling. After that night, the nightmares stopped. That's my story. I don't care if you believe it or not. But if you ever find yourself driving down Route 46 at night, and you see a woman crossing the road, don't stop.
Hope this story gave you chills. This one came from one of our lovely listeners. Thank you for trusting us with your tale. If you have a story, a spine-tingling true experience, send it to midnightconfession@gmail.com. And now, let's move on to our next chilling tale.
What are we afraid of when our friends are beside us? Welcome back, everyone, to another night in the realm of fear. Tonight's story comes from someone close to me, a quiet, gentle man named Ethan. He told me this story one cold evening, his voice shaking, eyes hollow. This is not just a story, it's a scar. Let's begin. Hey, everyone. My name's Ethan. I used to live in a suburb near Sacramento before my family moved to San Francisco. What I'm about to share is the story of my younger sister, Noah. Her death shattered us, like something or someone decided to punish our family. Noah was beautiful. From the start, people used to stop and stare at her like she was made of light. She had this glow, the kind that doesn't belong to this world. By 16, she was getting marriage proposals. My parents refused, said she should choose her own life. We thought that was love, freedom. But my Aunt Angela didn't see it that way. She called it arrogance, said girls today are too proud, too smart for their own good. She wanted her for her son, a guy with a bad reputation. She'd come every day, pestering Dad. "I'll pay for the ring myself." And Dad would just sigh. "Angela, times have changed," but she never stopped. Finally, after a year, she gave up. Her son married someone else. But at the wedding, she turned to my mom and said, "You will cry over that girl. She won't live a normal life. This is my curse on you." My mom stayed silent. But that night, Dad cut all ties with her. Peace returned to their home for a while, but it never stays long, does it? Noah was doing great, top of her class, laughing again. Then, one afternoon, she came home quiet, too quiet. She went to her room. A few minutes later, I heard her vomiting. I thought it was the heat. I ran to get her water. She drank, then started mumbling strange words. She called for Mom, but said, "Where are the lemons?" Then she said, "There is a lion sitting on my shirt. That lion is shaving. The chicken is crying. Let the cat sit in the living room." I froze. I'd never heard her talk like that. She slept for 6 hours straight after that. When she woke up, she said things like, "I'm going to die in the drawing room." Or, "A dog sent me a marriage proposal." We took her to every doctor, every psychiatrist. Nothing. They said it was depression. Depression doesn't twist your words into nonsense. She started fading. A year passed, and we lost her, piece by piece.
When medicine fails, people turn to faith or fear. One day, we took her to a spiritual healer. He stared right into her eyes, didn't blink. Then he whispered over a handful of clay and threw it at her. The moment it touched her, she screamed. Her body jerked and her arms snapped backwards. It broke with this horrible sound, like wood splitting. She lunged at him, eyes red blood. That wasn't my sister. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just breathes beside you. We took her home. A few days later, she spoke normally again for 30 minutes. Then the nonsense came back. We tried another healer. She looked at him, smiled, and said, "My family thinks there's something wrong with me. Let's just cut it out and be done with it." Before anyone could move, she grabbed his knife. She cut out her tongue. She handed it to me, like it belonged to me. She never spoke again. After that, the whispers began. People said Aunt Angela had cursed them, and she didn't deny it. Dad snapped. We went to her house. He shouted, "What did you do to my daughter?" She just laughed, this dry, broken laugh, and said, "Yes, I did it. You humiliated me. Now your daughter will destroy you." And before I could stop it, my dad stabbed her. She fell. Blood everywhere. He went to prison. He died there last month. Noah didn't live much longer either. One curse, one family, and nothing left but ghosts. When Noah died, her friend showed me a picture. She said, "Look, Ethan, there's a shadow behind her." And when I looked, I saw it, a figure smiling just behind her shoulder. Everything that happened still feels like a nightmare. I've accepted it as a test from God, but I still cry when I think about her. If anyone can help me find tutoring work, I'd appreciate it. Thank you for listening. When Ethan left that night, he looked smaller, like something in him had already died. I paid the bill and walked home beneath a still, empty sky. I've never had a sister, but when I hear laughter in the dark, I think of Noah. Ethan lost his sister, his father, his peace, all to one curse born from envy. This has been tonight's story. Sleep well if you can.